Alright, so the WACC question, what I'd recommend you do before you do anything is just write the formula out. So WACC, the weighted average cost of capital equals what? The weight of debt times the top cost of debt times 1 minus the tax rate plus the weight of equity times the cost of equity. So essentially what this first 4A, what 4A is doing is you're filling in all these blanks. So if you write the formula out, you got it. You should know this formula. It's a very, very famous, important formula that everybody should know. We know the cost of debt equals the risk-free rate plus the spread. We know that KE equals the risk-free rate plus beta times the market risk premium. We know the weight of debt equals the dollar in debt divided by the dollar in debt plus the dollar in equity. Weight of equity equals 1 minus the weight of debt. And the tax rate's given. So there's all the pieces. So all you got to do is fill in those pieces. So you've got the main formula, and then you have the supporting formulas. So I would just write all that out. You'll get credit if you just write all this out, even if you get some of the numbers mixed up, just so you show that you know the formulas. All right? So let's start with the cost of debt. So Ford's only debt is a 20-year bond issued 18 years ago, and it's rated BBB minus. All right? So the cost of debt, what is our risk-free rate? It's a 2-year bond, right? It was issued 20 years ago. I mean, it's issued 18 years ago, but it's a 20-year bond 18 years ago. What kind of bond is this? It's a 2-year bond. That's all you care about. It was single A minus 18 years ago. You don't care about that. All you care about is how much time it has left and what it's rated today. And so you go find that in the table, and it's missing for some reason. So y'all can fix this, right, just by clicking on the black. I don't know why that disappeared. But anyway, so what is the spread here? So what is the risk-free rate for this bond? So 2 years, the Treasury is 0.026. And what is our spread? BBB minus in 2 years. There's 2 years. There's BBB minus, so 165 plus 165 divided by 10,000. Someone's homework, they did that and they got 165%. It messed up all their answers, so be real careful. What is that going to be? 0.026 plus 0.0165. If you get an answer that's massive, you did something wrong. You're not going to have a spread of 140%. It's going to be 1.65%. And I don't know what that is, 0.0425 or something. 26 and 165. 425, all right? So we've got our cost of debt. We're going to use that in that question B about the debt. Now, if you miss the cost of debt in question A, let's say you get 525 or something, but you use that in question B, I'll grade your answer. You'll lose points of A, but I'll grade your answer B giving whatever interest rate you use. Your errors don't carry through and mess you up. All right, and then the KE for stocks. What's the risk-free rate for stocks? Always just use the 10-year Treasury, right? So 3.5%. We got to figure out the beta. All right, so we'll do that. And then what's the market risk premium? You just have to look for it. I call it equity risk premium here, but it's the same thing. 3%. So all we got to do is figure out the beta. Okay. So for beta, you got your 4 steps. Y'all yell them out real quickly. Revenue sensitivity, financial leverage, operational or operating leverage. I think, man, I go back and forth on it. I like operating leverage, but operational is fine too. And then the last one, history. All right. So Ford. I'm not looking for a long essay here, but Ford. What can we say about Ford? Definitely, as y'all said, cyclical. And I add an adjective to that. Somewhat cyclical, very cyclical. Where does Ford fit in there? This is very cyclical firm, right? Ford suffers dramatically when we went into recession. So beta will above 1. Financial leverage. So I give you these tables. Their debt to equity is 441%. The average stock is 58%. They're ranked, they're in the top 5% most levered firms out there. What does that say for financial leverage? What adjective would you have? Very high, very low, somewhat high, somewhat low? Yeah, very high financial leverage, pushing beta up. Operating leverage. If you want to talk somewhat about Ford, it probably has high fixed costs due to depreciation, property, plant, and equipment, and unionized labor. However, what? I'm not going to give y'all gross margin, so you can ignore gross margin. The net margin standard deviation is what? Is actually not all that volatile. So you see that they're ranked they're actually below the S&P 500 in the volatility. I don't know how they say that's the case. That's unusual to me, but that just happens to be the case. However, the volatility of their net leverage is actually lower than S&P 500, suggesting operating leverage is not that high. So beta about the same as suggested revenue sensitivity. I'm not going to push them up more just because I have high fixed costs. And then we look at their history. Look at historical graph. They've been as high as 225, as low as 0.65. Their median has been 125. So history suggests above 1, but not by as much as I would expect. Median is only 1.25. And then you have to give your final answer. I am going to use 1.40 given the nature of the business and its very high financial leverage. Now you might completely disagree with my answer here. If you want to argue a 0.9, you could be right on a 0.9. You better have good words to support it. What do most students do? They use a median. The median is fine as long as you say the median is 125. That's consistent with what I said above with revenue sensitivity and financial leverage. I don't think it is. I think 125 seems way too low to me for a Ford. If I were buying Ford stock, 125. I just think adding Ford to my portfolio is going to make my portfolio more risky. This stock is definitely going to do horribly if we go into recession. But if you want to use a median, that's fine. Just make sure you have the words to support it. All right. So I'm going to use a beta of 1.4. So I can go back up here to my KE and put 1.4 in there. So 3.5, 3, and 1.4. I get 7.7%. Well, so let's do the weight of debt. Y'all stop me if you have an issue here. So the weight of debt. Here it shows you right here in this paragraph, there's a paragraph down here with the debt that says they have 150 billion in debt and 50 billion in equity. 150 and 50, so their weight of debt is 150 divided by 150 plus 50, which equals 0.75. So what's their weight of equity then? Be 0.25. All right. So we got everything we need. So the weight of debt is 0.75 times the cost of debt, 0.0425, times 1 minus the tax rate. What was the tax rate? We'll find that. The marginal tax rate is 21%. Minus 21%. Plus the weight of equity times the cost of equity, and then we get our WACC. What if I do all of that and I get 43%? What might you suggest? Does that seem reasonable? What if I do all that and get 1.3%? Does that seem reasonable? Seems a little crazy, right? So if you get an answer below 3% or an answer well above 10 or 15%, it's possible 10%. We're talking about WACC, not cost of equity. Some companies definitely have a cost of equity above 10. It's very rare for a stock, especially, I'm not giving you companies about to go insolvent. So it's very rare for a company to have a WACC above 10%. As low as interest rates are right now. So, you know, if you get a wild answer, go back and check and see where you might have hit something right. Hopefully someone can check my answer here. I get 4.44%. Can someone confirm that? Hopefully that's correct. This is a great question because, man, it makes you go through the whole process in your mind. You can't answer this question, you don't understand this stuff. If there's multiple choice, you could, and you wouldn't have a clue what was the answer was.
I was just going to say, would you mind going back down to the chart where you look for where the financial and operating leverage are and which measures you're looking at?
Right, so debt to equity, you're not going to be given gross margin on the exam. So debt to equity, the S&P was 58%. These are percents. Ford is 441%, so they're actually the 5% most levered. On net margin, I was expecting them to be well above the average. They were actually slightly below the average, so it contradicted what I expected about the company. If you don't know anything about the company, then you could just, just speculate and make stuff up. The company I picked, I think you all know, so you have some familiar with. All right. Other questions on that? Again, this keeps disappearing. Why does that keep disappearing?
Could you just go to the WACC formula just for 1 second?
To the what?
The WACC, WACC formula. Okay.
Is anyone else getting 4.4%? Okay. All right. I'm going to break it there just because this video is going to get ridiculous. Yeah, I put these videos